So now you've been practicing the 7 chords of the scale. Let's now have some more fun with it and add dissonance. And dissonance can really make piano music sound just absolutely beautiful. Dissonance is when you add an extra note to the chord that isn't normally there. So I'll show you a great example of dissonance, and that's the 7th. The 7th is one of the most popular forms of dissonance. So let's go back to our trusty C major scale, because it's a very good context to explore this with. So this is chord 1, as we know, chord 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to add a 7th dissonance to all of these chords. So we count 7 notes above the root note of the chord, which in this case is a C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I add that to the C major chord and I get a C major 7th. You can hear it sounds warmer, it sounds more gentle or more mellow, something like that. So then we've got chord 2, 7, we keep the same pattern and we move up the scale. Chord 3, 7, chord 4, 7, chord 5, 7, chord 6, 7, chord 7, 7, and then we return to chords 1, 7. Some artists have made a career out of these chords. Think of someone like Alicia Keys. She does this in pretty much most of her songs. She does 4, 7, 3, 7, 2, 7, 1, 7, 4, 7. Then you have the left hand doing the bass note. 3, 7, 2, 7, 1, 7. So if the 7th is Alicia Keys, well, it actually isn't just Alicia Keys. I mean, Bach used it years and years ago. I mean, the 7th chord has been around for ages because it sounds so lovely. So another example would be a 2nd dissonant. And a 2nd dissonance is this one. It's when you add just a 2nd note above the root of the chord, which is here. So it's a slightly more clashier sound than the 7th. Now, the 2nd dissonance has a few rules with it because it doesn't work on every chord. So that's chord 1, 2, chord 2, 2. You hear this in a lot of sad songs. Chord 2, 2. Chord 3, 2 doesn't really work, and that's because that's a semitone, that's a half note, and that's just, it clashes. So we leave it off chord 3, chord 4, 2, chord 5, 2, chord 6, 2, and it doesn't work on the diminished chord 7, so we leave it off that as well. And a really nice way to practice chords with extra notes in them is by turning them into finger exercises. And I'm going to show you a wonderful finger exercise that you can use. So let's go back to the 7th chords, for instance. We've got chords 1, we're going to use fingers 1, 2, 3, and 5, and we're not going to use the 4th finger. I'll just repeat that, this is very important. We use fingers 1, 2, 3, and 5 to play the 4 notes. So there's chord 1, 7. And I'm using fingers 1, 2, 3, and 5. So I'm going to break them up because rather than just playing it all at the same time, and when you play them all at the same time, don't be heavy like this. That sounds horrible. Just be very gentle. When you play the piano, you're actually playing with your wrist. You're not using your fingers. People often overuse their fingers when they play the piano because they think it's about fingers. Piano's actually about wrist and having a relaxed wrist that circulates healthy. So I'm going to break up the notes in the chord. You notice I'm moving my wrist almost in a semicircle. So it's chord 1, 7, chord 2, 7, chord 3, 7, chord 4, 7, chord 5, 7, chord 6, 7, chord 7, 7, and then 1, 7. And then you add some bass in the left hand. course, you can then start to compose your own examples. Chord 4/7, chord 2/7. I'm just making this up as I go. Chord 3/7, chord 6/7. And when you compose your own examples, remember, just like I said before in the earlier tutorials, just go in groups of 4 chords. So here's another one. Chord 1/7, chord 2/7, chord 4/7, chord 1/7. So let's go to the other dissonance we were looking at, the second chords. This one here. You hear this in a lot of, let's say, Elton John songs. You'll mix the second up in the chord. It also sounds a bit American. You hear this in a lot of country music as well. So a good way to practice it to start with. Chord 1/2, chord 2/2. Remember, we leave it off chord 3. Chord 4/2, chord 5/2, and chord 6/2. So let's compose our own examples. And this is a very good finger exercise, breaking up these chords into pieces. It also sounds really nice, particularly if you add a little bit of pedal to it, with this right foot pedal to sustain the chord. Chord 6/2, chord 4/2, chord 5/2, chord 1/2, chord 6/2, chord 4/2, chord 5/2, and chord 1/2. Have fun and compose lots of your own music. Let's talk soon.